All right, let's do some viewer questions. First question is from Jeremy Axelrad. Says, first of all, thanks, man. You are cool. Well, thanks. I've been through many permutations of this with occasional glimpses and mostly ignorance, LOL. But at the moment, it seems like the sense of object outer, there is sensation, body tensing around the face, eyes, solar plexus, contraction, holding of breath. The sense of subject inner here is likewise sensation, a kind of warm, smoothness, fullness, flowing energy. Are you pointing to the fact that these are just one sensation, body contracting, expanding, seemingly orienting one way or another, and then getting reified in thought? Or are you focusing more on color, vision, and how it is appearing without intrinsic reference to that inner outer sensation? Yes. Okay. So this is an easy one to answer. Okay. This is from my video, Dissolving Duality. This is probably on the 6th fetter, or non-duality in general. So this is very easy to answer because the whole thing you said first, that's all thought. That's all thought. Contracting is not a sensation. Expanding is not a sensation. That's an interpretation of a sensation. Yeah. Body is not a sensation. It's interpretation of a sensation. Fullness is not a sensation. Warmth, smoothness, that's not a sensation. So the answer is, you're saying, should I focus on the interpretation of physical sensations or should I focus on the visual field? And I'm saying you can either focus on sensation or visual field, but don't focus on the interpretation of either one. Specifically, when I'm talking about the 6th fetter, often I'm talking about the visual field itself. And the way you described it at the end is great. Are you focusing more on color vision and how it is appearing without intrinsic reference to any inner or outer sensation? Yes, but it's without reference to an inner or outer interpretation. An interpretation of a sensation that's saying inner or outer. That's exactly what it is. That's literally the 6th fetter. But understanding the answer to that question isn't going to help, really. It helps you know where to put your attention, but it's critical what's critical about this fetter is that very, very quickly we apply an interpretation to our experience and we don't even notice it. And we totally take for granted that that's real, that's the primary experience. It isn't. That's it. That's how we do this. So good question. Next question is from Margarita 82002. I felt that everything is right at the source. Where the rose is, there you are. No separation. This is on a video called Do Objects Actually Exist? Another 6th fetter video. So they're saying, where the rose is, there you are. I assume you mean that's where you are, where I am, the sense of I, right? No separation. That's good. And then it says, but there is a center of gravity inside of me that pulls me back into the familiar. From here, I see there. So what's happening is your experience is oscillating between a direct experience and the experience of an interpretation of an experience. That's all that's happening. Similar to the last question, only I feel like you're clearer on what's happening, but you're noticing your attention's getting pulled back, but you're, that's it. So keep at it. This one's from 76 Livika. I am going through that tabula rasa, I think I mean tabula rasa phase right now. After a period of meaninglessness and quite the darkness, I feel my energies aligning, feeling more alive than ever. Beautiful. This is in reference to the video, Follow the Breadcrumbs into the Shadow. Yeah. Yep. There can be a period of that where tabula rasa means blank slate, blank tablet. There can be a period where all of our previous motivations that were based on thought-based identities, ideas, concepts of past, future, concepts of self and duty and morality and who knows what all kinds of things that we think compel us to do what we do and all that. And when all of a sudden that's just not really there anymore, we can actually default to a kind of not doing anything for a while, or at least feeling like we're not doing anything. Often we are, but it can feel, again, like blank slate. Like maybe I'm still operating in the world, but there's like some kind of the juiciness around the ideas about it aren't there. And it can feel like a lot is lost with that until you get used to the fact that none of it was really there. that all of that was just distraction. It was all dissociation. Once you see that clearly, now all of a sudden it can actually start feeling good. And then it feels a lot better than it ever did beforehand. So there's a transition point there, and you're going through it, or you've gone through it, which is great. This next one is about the video called It's Okay to Let Go. The commenter is Paul Kapika. Sometimes I feel like life is just a big bad trip testing my ability to let go. Surrender was the biggest lesson I got from my first ayahuasca ceremony. Yeah, surrender. Ayahuasca is really good at teaching surrender. Yeah, letting go. I've said this before, but I'll say it here maybe slightly differently than I've said before, but letting go is a little bit of a misnomer. If you interpret letting go or surrender through the ego structure, it will inevitably turn into a doing. It'll turn into something you do, and it will be tied to what you get out of it, to agendas you may or may not see. It's going to be sticky, and that's okay. But when you see that that's a thought, that's your mind's version, that's the thought's version, and the stickiness is your tendency to believe all of that has to do with you, that it's like about you, it's personal somehow. When you see what surrender really is, you see that it's already happening, but it's not a personal thing. Yeah, it's not, through the mind, it seems like personal, surrender is personal. It's like it's something that happens to you, or you do, or you finally. But when you really see, well, at least my experience of it, what surrender is, it's everything. Everything is surrendered. Everything is innocent. Everything is spontaneous, mysterious, innocent. And I mean everything. And I also don't mean that there are separate things. I mean the experience of experiencing itself, the experience of intimacy, the non-dualistic textures of aliveness. All of it is spontaneous. It is surrendering all the time. It's you could say it's letting go all the time, but it's not even holding on. There's nothing to hold on to. And that, from the standpoint of not mind, from the standpoint of no mind, it's beautiful. It's freedom. It's deeply peaceful. It's accurate. It's lawful. It's natural. It's easily available. From the standpoint of mind, it's challenging. It's confusing. It's probably impossible in some way of thinking about it. Yeah. Great question. Next one is from Savolex. This says, will strong feelings of anxiety, fear, panic also subside since they have a cognitive basis? Fear, panic, anxiety. They're saying interpretation of reality. That's what they mean by basis. Or is it a different mechanism? I could get into a lot of nuance about emotion. I wrote a chapter in my book about it. If you haven't read that, check it out. But what I'm inclined to say here is that ultimately what dissolves or what is found to have never been there isn't really emotion. It's not the energetics of emotion, because emotion means energy in motion, you could say. It's very much like that. So there can still be intense energies moving through. There can be all kinds of energies moving through. Maybe unidentifiable, sometimes identifiable. What goes away, though, is that the belief that they're a problem. That they're a not just the belief that they're a problem, the resistance that comes with the belief that they're a problem. That's what goes away. And we don't want that to go away. Well, it's not that we don't want that to go away. We want the emotion to go away, though. We're like, oh, that's great, but I'd really like not to feel fear. But the reason you don't want to feel fear isn't because of the fear. It's the not wanting, strangely. It's you're identified with the not wanting, right? You're made out of not wanting. The ego structure is made out of not wanting. It's made out of a sense that something's not right and I need to make it right. Everything that you believe you are is made out of that. It's a big pill to swallow, but that's why we have that first awakening that opens up so much space for us. We need that space because it's a big hit to realize, shit, all my coping mechanisms, all my sense of self, identity, etc., it's all essentially bullshit. But the bullshit is based on this belief, 10th fetter, you could say, that life is not okay. Life needs to be different. Life should be different than it is. Things should be different than they are. Turns out it's actually not true. It's not true that anything needs to be different than it is. It's also not true that there's anyone that can stand up against that. 9th fetter, 8th fetter, and on and on and on. So Yeah. Good question. This one is from Kate. Why is it so freaking clear at times and not at others? Claire Isabel sometimes and... Claire Isabel. Oh, I think that means clear as a bell. How funny. Sometimes and other times not. And I thought Claire Isabel was like some kind of some fiction writer or something you were quoting. Anyway, other times not. And of course, this is a story right now in the present moment I am well aware of. LOL. Why on God's green earth do I keep constructing this story? Coping mechanism. It's just a coping mechanism. The only reason you would keep constructing a story that makes you miserable is you haven't looked closely enough at something. That's it. That's the good news. You don't have to go outside. You don't have to figure anything out outside of this experience. It's in your experience. So just keep looking closer at your experience. Keep feeling into what maybe you don't want to feel because of a more superficial layer of coping that has gone awry or that's no longer needed, but it's still functioning. Be willing to find out, well, what's underneath that? Oh, wow, that's underneath. Oof, that's intense. Okay, but still, what's there? Let me stay with it. Let me keep going deeper. Let me find out what's there. When you see it clearly enough, it will stop being afflictive. Yeah. Thanks, Kate. I've done a little kickboxing with Kate at some point, I think, if I remember right. Okay. And then at the bottom, she says, I'm having such a weird experience of knowing and not knowing at the same time. I don't know how else to express it. Yeah, that's the paradox stuff that I talk about. That's good. That's good. The key with paradoxes like this, don't try to solve it. Be okay with it. See the genius of it. See the beauty of it. That, yeah, simultaneously my mind will try to understand it, or my mind will have a position, and simultaneously I see there is no fucking position. There's no position. Reality has no position. It doesn't need one. And those aren't two. I don't need to find a solution to that. That paradox, I can handle it. Not only can I handle it, I shouldn't say I can handle it. I should say it's accommodated. I should say you have the capacity for paradoxes all day long. It's beautiful. Thanks, Kate. This one's from Claire. I'd really like to know how this works for neurodivergent folk. This is in a video called Form is Emptiness. That would be Fetter 7. Kevin Shanalek. I have ADHD, so what is referred to as time blindness. Okay. So I have to set a million reminders for everything anyway. I presume ADHD folk might not notice such a massive difference when this fetter falls. And one of the reasons I don't function well without my billion reminders and I'm disabled is because whatever process sets this up developmentally wasn't set up properly. That could be. Yeah, I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of stuff about neurodivergence that's just my theory anyway, but I have worked with people with neurodivergent aspects, processes, I don't know what you want to say. And they can definitely wake up. No problem. Maybe slightly different, but they can definitely wake up. I think, to me, neurodivergency is simply the way your brain interprets reality is somewhat different than someone who's neurotypical. But it doesn't change reality. Reality is reality, right? Just like someone with a certain kind of trauma is going to process reality and specifically process emotion and resistance and so forth will be somewhat different than someone who has a different type of trauma or less trauma. But it doesn't change reality itself. Reality is reality. You can wake up to it. Yeah. So that's the underlying message I want to give you. I wouldn't get too heady about what's different, what's not different. When you break that fetter, you'll know. I'll just say that. You'll definitely know, especially seventh fetter. Okay. Good question. This one's from Stephen Owen. You say that, quote, those thoughts appearing about the past, even 1 second in the past, are nothing but reflections. They are not what's happening. Indeed. Okay, what the story the thought is telling is not happening. Does that make sense? It's like if you're watching a movie right now and that movie is about 1925, you can watch that movie all day long, so to speak, but you're never in 1925. There's only right now. There's only images, colors flashing on a screen right now. Even the interpretation of a screen will become deconstructed. So that's how it is with thought. It's like the thought is here now. The consciousness is here now. What it seems to be telling, the story it seems to be telling about a not now whether it's future or past, it's not true in the way that it's portraying. It may have some function in communication, but it's not real. Yeah? It's relational. Awesome. Good question. Well, I didn't even finish the question, but that's what you're asking, yeah. We can never think in the past, in the future, exactly. And then it says, what do you mean by reflections? Well, in my book, I do talk about this. I don't know if you read my book. If you haven't, check it out. But I talk about how thought is reflective of, and what can thought reflect? 5 senses and other thoughts. That's all. Cool. And in the reflection mechanism itself, I talk about this in the Stages of Awakening chapter. In the reflection mechanism itself, the sense of there being a reflection that is moving through time, distinct, separate, and has agency, that's the illusion of self. And at some point it will shatter. You polish the mirror until you know instinctually when it's time to shatter the mirror or turn away from the mirror. In my analogy, it's kind of like turning away from it more. Yeah. Okay. This one's from Lalita Vajra. The video is called How to Make Awakening a Priority. This person says, I guess they're quoting me. What haven't you done? Yeah. What are you avoiding? The other pointing questions too. Oof. Hit me in the guts. Check your priorities, quote. Thank you. Fear of change. Smiley faces. Arg. Signing up for working one-on-one with a non-dual teacher. Boy, do I feel myself squirming. There you go. So what this person's referring to is something I say periodically. It's sometimes I get people who will say, oh, I've been working at this for 10 years. Nothing's happening. My instinct is, if you're working with me, that's not going to happen. I mean, something's going to happen, because there's fixation, and we're going to undermine the fixation. We're going to pull that rug. But a lot of times when people say that, they actually haven't. There's certain things they haven't been doing, they really haven't been putting themselves in the fire. Yeah, it's like you ever heard of I don't know what the quote is like. If you pick a teacher, at least pick a dead one, so they can't, because then they can't argue with you. They can't call you on anything. Pick a teacher in a book. Now, it's not always true. I mean, books can be powerful. Teachers on video can be powerful. But if you're really stuck and you really can't get out of your own way, and this is all about getting out of your own way, work one-on-one with somebody who's walked this path before you. Go to a retreat. Put yourself in the fire. Yeah? And if hearing that makes you squirm, then I think you already have your answer. So anyway, good job, Lolita. I wish you luck. Keep at it. Do the thing that you don't want to do. Do the thing that will challenge you. You can only challenge yourself so much usually. You know what I mean? You need to get leverage on yourself somehow. Okay. This is from Nothingness. Like it. I love the 30-day wake-up challenge and the way of liberation by Adyashanti. This is on a video I have called A Question About My Favorite Spiritual Teacher, who is Adyashanti. Adyashanti's awesome. Check him out if you haven't. Check out his books. His videos. He's got some videos. He's got retreat recordings that they're probably for sale. He's great. I really like the guy. He's very direct. He points in a way I don't. He has a talent that I don't have. He's really good with devotional, kind of a devotional method, devotional path. He feels poetic to me more than I feel like I am. He just has a different style, but he's great. He's awesome. Who else we got here? This is from Lori. I'm in a room that is not familiar to me while I do this investigation. What I notice is that objects that are seen immediately come with the thought of usefulness to me. A light lights up the room. A chair to sit in. There are some objects that are in disorder. So in my mind, they're just a blob of nonsense. Those things are not delineated and are not dismissed. And are dismissed by the mind. So usefulness is an immediate judgment that comes with seeing. Okay, good. So you're seeing one layer of interpretation. When we talk about sixth fetter, this is the video, do objects actually exist? When we talk about sixth fetter, we talk about subject-object construct, which are essentially the same thing. a simple way of saying it is what you're really doing is you're peeling away the actual experience, what's actually being experienced, from an interpretation of what's being experienced. And so, yes, judgment is part of it. That's useful. That's not useful. I like that person. I don't like that person. That's my mom. That's my dad. Those are important to me. That's a stranger. They're not so important to me. That's a homeless person. Like, I feel aversion to that person because they remind me of what I'm scared of. Like, whatever, right? We have all these judgments and we have this push and pull and all of it. With fourth and fifth fetter falling, that push and pull may go down quite a bit. It will. But we still have this system of judgments in place, or we can. And that's part of the layering that makes it feel like that's out there and I'm in here, right? In the video, I talked about the different aspects of it, that do objects actually exist. I talk about the sense of being a center, the sense of subject-object, and so forth. So, So this comment is pretty astute. If you're looking closely, you will see these interpretations popping up, and you can get behind the interpretations. They will slow down. What I mean by that is the response time of interpreting will slow down. At first, it's so fast, you think it's literally what you're looking at. You're like, no, I'm looking at an interpretation. It's like, no, you're not. You're adding an interpretation to what you're looking at. Cool. This one's from Jacob. Yesterday, I kept staring at an object, and it was like I became the object. Same, right? Now, what you want to do is keep at that until the construct of subject-object actually stops functioning, instead of just having a taste of I am that or that is me. These are still interpretations, subtle interpretations. They're after the fact. I think that interpretation is something that you actually tasted directly. You did get a sense of no subject-object. But when that really falls, to me, it's not like I am that, I am that, I am that. You kind of see that the I doesn't make sense so much anymore, because the I refers to a subject, and that doesn't make so much sense. So yeah, you're getting tastes of it. Just keep at it. Good. Okay, that's all for now. I appreciate your comments. As always, I read and answer. I read pretty much all comments still. I answer some of them when I have time through typing. Channel members, I do prioritize those, and then I read these for videos periodically. So thank you all for your comments, for your reflections, for your watching the videos, for your likes and subscribes, all the things. And I'll do this periodically, and I appreciate y'all.